Hey everyone, it's a rainy Friday in Minnesota. I'm Ron Johnson. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota, and this is the Friday Roundtable. That's Luke Inman, that's Sam Ekstrom, and that's Reggie Wilson from Care 11, and it's Friday. It's Saturday, Sunday. What? If you don't have kids, you have no idea what song I'm talking about. I think that's a real song, but I'm a Kids Bop guy because I have kids. But fellas, it's time to get started. And people, remember, we are sponsored and powered by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Every single moment is so much better when you, even if you don't like hockey, you can still bet on it and you can watch it and make it exciting because you want to see who scores that first goal, right? Or you want to see how many saves a goalie can have. We'll talk about that because the wild goalie drama, we thought it was last year. No, not over yet. But hey, fellas, it's a lot going on in sports. It's a beautiful, it's a rainy Friday. Let's be honest. But we got to get locked in on this show today. So, Luke, what you got?
Yeah, Ron, less than 1 week away from the NFL draft. So we got to talk about the latest rumors with the Vikings draft plans and what the heck they're going to do with that first round pick.
And have Dean Evison and the Wild fumbled the goalie situation for a second year in a row. We'll talk about that too.
And it's Pablo Day. The Twins officially extend Pablo Lopez. He leads the league with strikeouts, 33 of them. Can he get some run support, though?
Well, going down 3-0 in the NBA playoffs, 149-0. No team has ever come back down 3-0. Now, we know LeBron 3-1, but not 3-0. No team has ever come back down 3-0. So this is a must-win game for the Timberwolves. We'll talk about that coming up on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Friday Roundtable. Well, let's jump into it, fellas. Like you said, Luke, there's draft rumors. Anthony Richardson. I mean, there's all kinds of names. What's the rumors going on right now with the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, Ron, so many needs, not many picks. Really what it comes down to, three things, in my opinion, at the end of the day, when we think about the Vikings on the clock with the 23rd overall pick. It's either take the best cornerback or wide receiver available, trade back and get more picks, or trade up and go get your guy at quarterback for KOC to start grooming post Kirk Cousins era. And here's the reality for the Vikings right now. Kirk Cousins, he's a good quarterback. And they got a good football team with them. But if a guy like Hendon Hooker, for example, or if somehow Will Levis from Kentucky starts falling to them outside that top 10, right? Past teams like Tennessee at 11, who could be in play for a new quarterback. Think about this just from a front office perspective for a second, and the temptation for Kwesi to get out of Kirk Cousins' contract next season and reset their financial market and open up some new avenues they haven't had to play with before and try and become a better team or just a greater version of themselves. They haven't had the luxury to try and build yet, just from a pure cap space point of view, because eventually, guys, you got to pay JJ. Eventually, you got to pay Hawkinson. Eventually, you got to pay Christian Darrisaw. And guess what? That's not only going to be expensive, as we know, but it's going to come a lot faster than you think it will. And they know that better than anybody. So there's a thought they could move back and get some extra picks. There's a thought they could take a cornerback or a wide receiver. But I truly think, Ron, from everything we've seen and heard, the Vikings will have a new quarterback a week from today when we wake up next Friday morning. And I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Sam, what you got?
Boy, it is very interesting. I get the sense that, and I know there's a lot of smoke right now. People saying that Stroud is going to drop. People saying that Richardson's going to drop. I still think that these are all top 10 picks. I think Levis is a top 10 pick. Richardson, top 10 pick. Stroud. If the Vikings want to go get one of them, they're going to have to move up 15 or so spots. I don't know if Kwesi is willing to do that. That's just such a large jump. You would have to give up so much draft capital, and you are in kind of a pseudo rebuild mode. I don't know if that's a sacrifice he wants to make. So I contend that if you are getting a quarterback, it's going to be a Hendon Hooker type, someone who might actually fall to you at 23, or maybe you could even trade back and still obtain. I just don't know if they have the draft capital or the ambition to trade all the way up to get one of those top 4 guys.
Yeah, Reggie, what you got?
It's interesting because I saw a mock draft this morning that had Will Levis fall to them at 23.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I feel like if Levis gets out of that top 10, I'm not so sure that a team doesn't like trade up to those teens to go grab him. So I'm not sure that he would last all the way to that 23rd pick. We've seen some crazy things on draft night, so that could very well be in play. But it's just so interesting what we're hearing now, saying that the Houston Texans may not be sold on drafting a quarterback at 2. And my question is like, well, who's going to be under center? Because they were cooked last year, so they have to draft a quarterback, in my opinion, but maybe they see it differently. I don't know, but it's just interesting if they don't, which I feel like it's kind of just smoke and mirrors. All this stuff is being fed to all these media people, and they're just telling us what they're fed, and we don't know what's true and what's not. But if that is a possibility and the Texans somehow don't go QB, we could see a situation where the Vikings do land one of these top tier guys.
And when I look at Bryce Young, I look at Will Anderson Jr., I look at CJ Stroud, and then Jalen Carter is the question mark. I think Jalen Carter changes this draft. If teams fall away from him because of his off the field issues, it's going to change the scope of the draft, because it's going to force other people to say, okay, do we want Jalen Carter? Because we didn't think he would be here, because technically he's a top 5 pick. But now people are saying he could fall to the Eagles. People are saying he could fall to, and a lot of teams are saying he's not getting out the top 5. So I think it's going to be one of those drafts where we're sitting around waiting for guys like that and puzzle pieces to fall. This is what I say for the Vikings, though. Julius Brents from Kansas State, 6'3", 200 pounds. Like I said, I always like the long guys. Now, he is a slender long, but I like long guys when you think about playing man, cornerback defense, like a Caleb Evans. Long, can play man if he gets beat, has the arm length to be able to knock down those passes. Because if you're a yard away, his arms help being able to play the hands of a DB or receiver. But he was 67th. So he was a second round. Now they're saying he might jump to the first. So for the Vikings, I still feel like you can trade back if somehow, I don't know how, but if you can get a second and a third or 2 seconds, I feel like Hendon Hooker, if Hendon Hooker doesn't get hurt, he's ahead of Anthony Richardson. They're both, now Anthony Richardson's 244, but 217, 6'3", 6'4", 244, like those are similar. A little bit more slender. If he doesn't get hurt, I feel like he's ahead of Anthony Richardson. So that's what I want to see. I think Hendon Hooker could be the future, but it is up to health. But that's the perfect situation. He can sit behind Kirk Cousins for years and rest and get healthy and then be able to come in 2 years from now and be the starter in the franchise of the Minnesota Vikings. But we'll see what they decide to do.
And just real quick here too, Ron, as far as Julius Brents goes, he's a hot name. Remember Tariq Woolen from last year? Seattle found him a hidden gem on day 3. Long, lanky. He had the fastest 3-cone, despite his size. You just talked about it, 6'3.5", 200 pounds. He had the fastest 3-cone of any cornerback at the combine in Indy. So we know Kwesi loves that lower body explosion. Julius Brents, if you're talking about a scenario where the Vikings do trade back, and again, like you, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but they try to recoup some extra picks. He's a guy that I would love that they target once you move back 5, 10, 15 spots.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people trade back and they go maybe to the end of the first, and then they still get a second round pick out of that because the person jumped 10 spots. And so we know, or whatever, 9 spots. So we know that is viable. You could trade back out of the first and go second and third. You could go early second, late second. So there's a lot of factors. It's all about, this is the draft. I've always been told this from the day I got drafted. The draft is about the stock market. It's all about what I can buy and sell for. It doesn't really matter what it's worth. It's what I can buy and sell for, and you need 2 parties. It just takes 2 people to tango, and that's what the Vikings have to do. They have to find a team that feels like 23 is more valuable to them than it is to the Vikings, and then they have to fleece them. Honestly, you have to take them for what you can get and say, give me a second and a third. For those people that haven't seen the movie Draft Day, Sam, I hope you've seen that movie because I know you're not a movie guy. For the everydayers, you guys know Sam hates movies. He doesn't watch them. But Draft Day –
I've seen it.
Kevin
I've
Costner.
seen it.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yep.
So for those that haven't seen it, watch Draft Day. It is actually it's overdone.
Great.
I've talked to some GMs that were on that, stage or whatever. They were what do you call consultants, I guess, for the movie. They gave them kind of tips and then they overdid it for movie purposes, but it's really like that. Dudes are eating breakfast. They're getting calls. They're getting text messages. I've seen a draft room of the phone calls coming in, people hanging up, people laughing at other GMs. Like, did you really just offer me that? Click. So it happens. So that's why this is a fun, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can't wait. Friday, I will, if they do draft a first round pick, I will be on the scene first with the Vikings. They're flying the guy in, and myself, Pete Bursich, we're going to be a part of like the press conference breakdown on Vikings.com. So I'm looking forward to it. But if they trade back, then we'll be talking about the trades on Friday and then getting ready for Friday's draft and hopefully have a second round pick. But we'll see. But Sam, we've been in this position before with goalies, and we thought we were done with it. But here comes again. And I actually went to sleep, so I didn't even see all the game. But I woke up to everybody saying, at what point do you pull the goalie? Sam, what's going on with the Wild?
All right. It's deja vu all over again. Last year, it was Cam Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury. Talbot was playing better. They trade for Fleury. Talbot still played better, and they started Fleury. And they rolled with Fleury until it was too late. This year, they've got the young kid, Philip Gustafson.
Yep.
He's playing better than Fleury. He plays great in game 1, double overtime marathon. And they put Fleury in for game 2. Now, this coaching staff in this front office for the Wild. Oh, and for those that didn't know, the Wild got smoked in game 2, 7-3, in case you had your head buried in the sand there. Didn't go well for Fleury, and I'm sure he won't start tonight in game 3. But the Wild have now outthought themselves 2 years in a row at the goaltender position because they are enamored by Marc-Andre Fleury's resume and his veteran status. But if you look at Marc-Andre Fleury's career trajectory, he's 38. The stats the last 2 years are clearly inferior to what he did at his peak. And it just surprises me, guys, because this is not a coaching staff that's enamored by veterans or by like what you've done in the past. This is a group that literally cut Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. They said, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Bye, guys. This is a coaching staff that scratches underperforming players all the time. So for them to feel the need or the urge to start Marc-Andre Fleury to massage his ego or for whatever reason, that's baffling to me. Ride the hot hand. Gustafson earned that start on Wednesday, and I hope we don't see Fleury again.
Yeah, what you got, Luke?
Sam, just real quick, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Gus Bus like top 3 in the league in like goals allowed per game and saves per game, if not even like top 2? I thought I heard that somewhere. I guess I just need you to explain it to me like I'm 5 for a second, because alls I heard was it's almost unheard of to pull your winning goalie, especially after the game he had in game 1, and not have him in the net in game 2. So is there an advantage that I'm missing, or what's the thought process like? Or is this just like a ego and pride thing? Like, as a GM and a coach, I want to be proven right that I made a trade for this guy to use him in the playoffs, and I want him to go out there and make me look good.
I'll give you the rationale, and I disagree with the rationale.
Okay.
Because at all levels, high school hockey, college hockey, if you're alternating goaltenders, at some point, you do have to make a decision. Like these high school coaches, these college coaches, all these pro coaches, generally you settle on somebody. The Wild have determined that because they were alternating during the season, they're just going to keep on doing that. And they probably have told themselves, well, Gustafson's never had to start a lot of games in a row. He's always kind of been in rotation with Fleury, so maybe this is a more comfortable spot for him. But once you get to this stage, I think you got to roll the dice and go with the guy. Clearly the lights were not too bright for him in game 1. So that I think should have been evidence enough that we can trust Gus in the net in game 2, and they didn't.
Yeah, Reggie, what you got?
If I'm Gus, I'm pissed because we saw it happen to Cam Talbot, and they ended up trading Talbot for Gus, which you're like, okay, we didn't really think much. You know, they brought Fleury back, and, you know, they're honestly, I don't know if we really thought much of this Wild team for this year. And it's funny, Bill Guerin says this year's team would beat last year's team, even though last year's team seemed like it was all world. But they added Flower to the mix, and it just seems like there's just this loyalty. I don't know what he has on, like, he's Bill Guerin's guy. I don't know what he has on Billy G. Like some picks, some kids. I don't know what's going on back there. But like, if I'm Gus, I'm pissed. The first like 2-3 minutes of the game, you see a breakaway goal and Flowers just on his belly giving up a goal, and it just kept happening all night. And you're just like, okay, at some point, when do you not say that this guy is cooked? Because at this point now he's hurting your chances. They had every chance to go into Dallas and steal another game and be able to come back home up 2 games, but Fleury couldn't stop anything. And it was so cool to see the 2 goals scored in 11 seconds and all that. But then after that's done, they still go ahead and score like 3 more goals, and the thing is just out of reach. Like, he didn't even give them a chance. So if I'm Gus and I'm watching that, I'm like punching glass right now. I'm like, get me in there.
Yeah, I think the big thing.
Don't even tempt the gods, Reggie, with another punch from a key player.
Yeah, there's one thing I'll say about it. You look at the one, Gustafson, 54 shots, 52 saves. You look at Fleury, 31 shots, only 24 saves. You just got to do the math, honestly. One guy's at 90, over 90%. The other guy's at 77. I mean, at this point, you just go with the numbers. If you don't, you're stupid. You're playing into, like Sam said, you're playing into this was my game plan. I hate game plan coaches, and those are the coaches that lose. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and I love the mic'd up stuff when they are able to say, hey, this was the play. And then Tyreek Hill's like, wait, what about that one play we did like in week 7? And then Eric Bieniemy looks at the card. He's like, yep, let's do that. And they end up getting a deep ball on the 49ers. That was a couple years ago. That's the type of stuff that winning coaches do. You just go with what works. You don't go with what you wrote down. And I think that's the problem for the Wild. Like Sam said, they probably said, this is what we've been doing. We're going to keep doing it, but it doesn't work. You got killed last year by it. Like, those that do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And the Wild right now are repeating history. And we'll see tonight. We'll see. Or is it tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight.
We'll see tonight. Oh, this is a big sports night. We got the Timberwolves and we got the Wild. And speaking of the Timberwolves, it's some drama. Like, there's a 2-parter to this one. We're going to jump into that. Before we do, we have a word from our sponsors.
Today's show brought to you by Built Bar and Built.com. Built has some unbelievable flavors. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. And you say to yourself, how could this possibly be good for you? Well, it is. It's healthy and it's tasty because they pack it with 17 grams of protein, but only 4 grams of sugar. It's low in calories. And now it's more accessible than ever. You can get Built Bars at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Head to the pharmacy section, pick up a 4-bar box or a more hefty 13-bar box to really stock up on some Built Bars. Flavors like cookies and cream, double chocolate bar, peanut butter brownie. So delicious. And hey, Built.com, your online source for picking up Built Bars as well. They're the best protein bar in the world, people. Stock up on some Built Bars today.
Well, I've been a fan of this pitch count the whole year, so we got to jump into this. Reggie, what you got?
So it's been interesting. The Twins officially extended Pablo Lopez this morning. I don't know why it took so long, but it finally happened that they announced the deal. He's 1-1 this year, league leading 33 strikeouts, 1.73 ERA. And he's not really getting any run support. So the last outing that he had was Sunday. They lost to the Yankees 2-0. He went 6, gave up 7, 2 earned, 7K. Not the best, but they lost 2-0. The start before that, he got the no decision. The start before that, no decision. That first start, they won 2-0 against Kansas City. And so it's interesting because the pitching is supposed to kind of like anchor this staff. And if you look at the Twins pitching staff, they have one of the better staffs in the league. But then you see what happened yesterday with Kenta Maeda. So this season has been kind of rough. Kenta's coming back from the TJ. His last start, he didn't finish. They said it was arm fatigue. A little scared, but then he's okay. But then they skip his next start, bring up Louis Varland. Then the start after that, yesterday, second inning, gets smoked with a 111 mile per hour off the bat ball to the ankle. And oh man, he's writhing in pain, and you're scared. You're like, oh snaps! But then the X-ray shows no fractures. We're only like we're not even a full month into the season yet, and we're already just nervous about certain things with this pitching staff. And I don't know where the discourse goes from here, but with the staff that's supposed to like anchor this team, just a little bit of concern there that number one, that the injuries bug seems to just be like just inching closer and closer to hitting them. But two, like when you have these pitchers having these quality starts, Joe Ryan is getting all kind of run support. Pablo's like, what's up? When I pitch, what's going on?
Yeah, what you got, Luke?
Yeah, that was a tough East Coast trip, man. Exhausting, probably the best word to describe it. I mean, like Reggie said, they're literally limping back home now as you hope Kenta Maeda isn't hurt too bad after taking that liner off his ankle yesterday. But listen, as tough of a trip as it was, they still come home after all that. They're still in first place in the division. They've got a 10-game homestand now, starting with Washington, who's one of the worst teams in the league right now. And I think outside of Emilio Pagan again this year, I really like the new look of this pitching staff and rotation. I think offensively, honestly, is where I get worried the most. I think they really need guys like Jorge Polanco back in the lineup, which it sounds like he could be back in these next few games, and maybe a few other bats just to spark some more consistency in that lineup. But I think big picture right now, it's still so early. They've flashed a little bit and stacked up some wins, which is great. But I think we're all waiting to see what the real identity of this team is going to be when we get in the thick of the season. And right now, it's probably just too early to tell. We saw some good stuff right out the gate. We've seen some bad stuff on this last road trip, but now you got 10 games at home to regroup again and start stacking some more wins up while you figure out again exactly what the identity of this team truly is. By the way, just looked at the weather before the show. Highs in the low 40s. Going to be some chilly baseball these next few days.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise the offense is 22nd in runs and 26th in average when they've already had injury scares with the following offensive players: Polanco, Kirilloff. Neither of them have played yet. Buxton, Correa, Kepler, Gallo, Farmer. Did I just rattle off 7/9 of their lineup? Like, this is insane. Every year the Twins go through this. We're not even to the end of April, and already it's a mash unit. There's something in the water here in Minnesota with these baseball players, and a lot of it's freaky stuff. Kyle Farmer getting hit in the face by a pitch. Byron Buxton colliding with a second baseman. Fortunately, he seemed to be all right, even though he's kind of struggling at the plate. Just bizarre injury. And then Maeda yesterday getting nailed with a liner. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when the lineup is already kind of unrecognizable. You've got guys that are in over their head, batting in these key spots. So we got to see more from the lineup. Pitching's great. Absolutely love what I'm seeing from the staff. 4th in ERA. If that continues, good things will happen, but you got to stay healthy.
Yeah, you look at the injury report, you think they were playing a contact sport, Sam. I mean, what's going on? This is baseball. How does this happen to this team year after year? It's just wild.
Yeah, I'd say we always talked about the trainers. We always talk about the sport, but it's all about, spring training. What are you doing before? What are you doing with your muscles? I'll do this real quick. I'm actually okay with where they're at. I mean, I get the whole extension of the contract, and that had to happen, but we know historically, I mean, I'm not a Polad pocket protector, but people always say the Twins ownership is cheap. So we knew that's going to come when anytime there's money, sometimes they wait, and then sometimes they make a dumb decision and it hurts them. But here's where I go with this East Coast trip. If you were to tell me they were going to play the Twins or the Yankees and the Red Sox, most people say they're coming back with one win. They actually beat the Yankees 11-2. They actually beat the Red Sox 10-4. So it's there. It's just how do you become more consistent? And I think it's about confidence. I think it's about, like Reggie said, when it comes to the bats, it's about seeing every pitch, understanding the pitch count now. So you have to train your mind to see the pitch faster because you're not going to get all that crap. You're not. Now, you might get some rosin with some glue and some sticky stuff and some Home Depot stuff. But other than that, and you might not get a pitcher thrown out. But other than that, take that, 15 seconds, 17, I don't know what it is now, but be ready to go because some batters aren't ready to go and they're getting in the box late and then the pitcher's just going to throw because he's like, look, I got 2 seconds left. It's on you now. And so I think that's the key to the bats. If you're in the box ready to go, you put that pressure on the pitcher to have to hurry up and get his clock going because it's a cat and mouse where some pitchers are waiting on batters to get the whatever the call is, the delay, and then some batters are playing that game to force pitchers to mess up. So just be in the box, be ready to hit, have that confidence knowing that you know what pitch is coming, and just swing. I think that's going to be the key for this team. For those people watching on YouTube, we thank you for joining us. We thank you for continuing to like, share, comment, but also tell a friend. And please subscribe. And then for those listening, wherever you get your podcast, we thank you as well. And either way, both platforms, you can switch over. But remember, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartMedia app, it's free. You can get the Locked On Sports Minnesota app channel right there on your device. You can take us with you wherever you go. And then, of course, Roku and Amazon. We are now on there. Please download the app on Amazon Fire or Roku, and you can see all of our videos, all of our shows. Last one before we jump into our fast fire stuff, the Timberwolves. And I'm just going to be really quick with this. When you think about the NBA, going down 2-0 is tough. But again, I think somebody said it's not a series until somebody wins on the road. Well, the Timberwolves have to win both at home. So it's still not going to be a series because they got to win both. And then they got to find a way to steal one. I don't know if it's going to happen with the Nuggets. The Nuggets are a lot better than we thought. But here's a stat, 149-0. A team going down 3-0 has never, not saying they haven't won a game, they've never moved on. And if the Timberwolves go down 3-0 tonight, it's over. They're going to get swept. And then we're going to be talking about, was this trade dumb? Was it worth it? When you talk about the Timberwolves team, we can say injuries. But look at Ja Morant. When Ja Morant's hurt, the Memphis Grizzlies, I think, are like 27-8 when Ja's been out. So we can say Karl-Anthony Towns was out, but where was Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert? You two should be able to do it. When Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid go down, why aren't, Mike Conley, the four, Gobert, Anthony, like what is going on with this team? And I'm not going to put it on Chris Finch, but I'm concerned about the lack of urgency with this team because Rudy Gobert plays lazy. And so that's what I'm worried about. And if you start off lazy against the Nuggets, Jokic is a lot better than I thought. He moves slow, and that's not my type of player. Like, I like Joel Embiid because he's quick twitch, but the Joker is good. You can't deny it. And those guys can shoot. They have a bunch. They put a roster together that I felt like the Timberwolves should have. One big and then a bunch of scores. We didn't do that. But I don't know, man. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, Ron, to your point, this is just what happens when you watch an 8 seed versus a 1 seed. I mean, the Nuggets are the 1 seed for a reason. They're one of the best teams in the NBA, period. Great reminder, though, why it was so important to lock up a 5 or a 6 or even a 7 seed. This is the position they put themselves in, losing so many of those winnable games during the regular season. And to one degree, I think it is self-inflicted. I do question Coach Finch at times, even though I love Coach Finch. You just, at a certain point, you got to start pointing the finger to the coach because the talent's still there. On the other hand, I think all the way back to the start of the season and how outside of maybe the first 5-8 games, this team has never been fully healthy. Finch has never really had his full roster to play with at any point. Cat misses 52 games. Prince misses 20. McLaughlin missed a ton of time. Naz Reid goes down at the worst possible time. Obviously, he's a critical part to this team. Rudy has been banged up off and on. They just never had their full arsenal of guys consistently at any point in the season. And I'm just thinking big picture now for a second, whether they bounce back and win a couple games here, they lose in 5, let's say. I wonder, as frustrating as the season has been, do they use all those injuries and justify running the whole thing back next year? Or do they have some sort of emergency escape plan in their back pocket? And do they do something crazy like try and trade Cat? Or does it depend on how these next few games actually go? That's what I'm going to be most curious about.
Sam?
Yeah, when you look at a player like Jokic, he doesn't have bad nights because his game is so well-rounded. He is the Serbian Duncan. He makes the right plays. He's very consistent, and he's extremely boring. I can't stand his brand of it's so boring.
It's so slow.
And so frustrating to watch him beat you.
Him and Kyle Anderson playing together could put kids to bed.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, can you imagine the pace of that offense? And I couldn't stand Anderson either until he came to the Wolves, and now I love him. But you don't see Jokic have off nights because he impacts the game in so many ways. Cat, he's so hot and cold. Loved him early against the Lakers. Loved him in the Thunder game. but then he disappears in these big spots. He fades late in games if he's in foul trouble. And very dependent sometimes on whether the three is going down or not. Like, I think he's at his best when he's attacking, he's getting in close. He really feels like he's in the flow of the game. When he's just a spot up shooter, then it's all about, well, does it go in or does it not go in? And he loses his ability to impact these games sometimes if he's just relegated to standing in the corners. So obviously got to see more from Cat tonight if the Wolves are going to make this a series. I tend to think they lose in 5, kind of like when they were the 8th seed against the Rockets back in 18.
Reggie.
This team is incredibly frustrating because the talent is there, but you now have back-to-back games where Cat scores 10 points. He scored 11 points in game 1. Wolves were -9 when he was on the floor the other night. That's just Finch blamed himself after the game, saying that he has to put Cat in better positions. But honestly, Cat just needs to be aggressive. Like, there are some shortcomings. I heard what Luke said, because after last year, I thought that they looked good. Maybe, they added a few pieces, Walker Kessler, and, maybe they try to run it back. But they were like, nah, we're going to blow it up. We're going to get Rudy and blow the whole thing up. And I don't know that really worked well for them. So I can see your point, Luke, where you're like, well, we tried that last year and we still ended up in the same spot we were the year before. Do we maybe try to see if Nas is healthy? We see if Jaden gets back healthy, and we try to, we really didn't get a chance to see Cat and Gobert together for an extended period of time. But honestly, I just don't know. Like, the chemistry is off. And the tough part about Denver is I thought that the Wolves had a good shot. And I was a little discouraged about them just not getting discouraged about them like getting swept. And then they turned it on in that third quarter. And I'm like, okay, this is the Wolves team that I think they could be. They ended the third quarter with the lead. And then the fourth quarter happened. Denver has, just to your point, Ron, an incredible amount of shot makers. Like, when you have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope hitting, Jeff Green hitting threes, and then, then Jamal Murray's going off. And like you said, Sam, Jokic is doing what he does. He's always going to positively affect these games. And then all of a sudden, one guy's cold, and then, now Michael Porter Jr. is just busting threes in our face.
4-point play to start the fourth quarter.
Oh my goodness. Like, it seems like an avalanche at times, no pun intended there in Denver, but it just really seems like there's so much to overcome. And if the Wolves can't make shots, and to your point, Sam, when Cat doesn't see those shots go in, I think it's good to see him maybe get aggressive, put the ball on the floor and like get to the rim, because he's big. Like, get to the rim, make them fear you. But I think sometimes he's like, oh man, the shot's not going down. Then he gets in his head and he's just, trying to do mid-range and 3-pointers, and it's just not working. Like, they need to lock in, because if they go down that 3-0 tonight, I think the series is over. You said maybe 5. I see maybe a sweep if they don't find a way to get this game tonight.
Yeah, when you look at the Timberwolves too, the way they're set up, it's built to control the game. And Cat should be the guy. Like, if you watch the Nuggets offense and you watch I love the 76ers offense. Even with James Harden out, Maxey came alive last night and found a way to win that game. The Nets found a way to lose the game. They're idiots. I mean, they threw the ball in the backcourt and nobody was back there, and it was a free dunk to end the game. Like, I think, and I meant to check FanDuel to see what the spread was, because I'm like, I know, because you can even see Joel Embiid like screaming, like, don't dunk it, like, just keep the ball. It's 5 seconds left, and the guy dunks it. So I meant to look at the FanDuel to see.
I'm gonna look.
If there's any bad beats in the 76ers.
It was Philly -5, and they won by 5.
So what is that, a push?
It would have pushed. It would have rescued the Philly bettors and at least gotten their money back. Yeah,
if he didn't do it.
The fact that he did it saved Philly bettors.
Right, because they would have won by 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know those people probably were cheering, and the other people, they probably were like, no, like, we're going to cover, because they probably put their money on the Nets. So again, bad beat. That was a chance, and then they had to break even now. But yeah, I saw the dunk, and I saw Joel Embiid probably was like, I bet on the Nets. Dude, stop. Like, what are you talking about? We got this. We won the game, and I'm about to win money on FanDuel. No, players wouldn't bet on their own games. I'm joking. Don't come get me. But when you think about moments like that, I think that's where the Timberwolves are. They have to find a way to outdo Jokic, because that's who they go through. Fun one though. So here's a good fun. We got two fun quick ones before we get out of here. Rudy Gobert. I didn't even think he used social media. Like, I mean, he just doesn't seem like a social media guy to me, but he's on Instagram. And so this morning I wake up to the Rudy Gobert Instagram comment, and the NBA and Bleacher Report and all these other publications do these like player voted awards. And one is overrated, which I think is I feel like this was Mean Girls. Like, this felt like a part of Mean Girls movie. You're going to vote on the most overrated player. Like, that's a little mean.
Sam, Mean Girls is a movie.
Sam, have you seen Mean Girls?
Oh, yeah.
With Lindsay Lohan?
No,
you have not.
I've heard it. I've heard good things.
You've never seen Mean Girls? So you don't even understand why we wear pink on Wednesdays then.
Sam thinks it's a documentary or something.
We wear pink on Wednesdays, Sam.
Is it like a cyberbullying documentary?
And October 3rd, I think October 3rd was the day that Aaron asked her what day it was, or for a pencil or something.
Oh, that's right.
It was October 3rd.
That's
he
right.
asked me what time it was. Or yeah, he asked me what time it was or something.
Ron knows it. He's got it.
Sam, you have no idea.
Fun fact, that movie was based off a real life scenario that happened at my wife's high school.
What?
Oh, they had 4 Mean Girls?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah, Sam, so you got to go watch it now, Sam. Like, it's Lindsay Lohan. It's like a Christmas party scene where the mom is a part. I mean, it's
Tina
her
Fey.
mom is
Tina Fey
is she's the teacher, and then the other woman that does stuff with Tina Fey, forgot her name, Amy Poehler.
Star-studded cast, I've heard.
Yeah, you got to see Mean Girls, Sam. Anyway, the NBA did a Mean Girls type of thing where they voted. Some of these are not good votes. These are mean things. But his most overrated player, Rudy Gobert, got some votes, as well as Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson, people say he's overrated because if it wasn't for LeBron and Khloe Kardashian, we wouldn't even care about Tristan Thompson. He's been riding LeBron's coattails forever, and he got famous because he got Khloe Kardashian pregnant. And so, again, he just keeps finding his way on teams. For Rudy Gobert, somebody said he's 7'3". He's supposed to block shots. Are you kidding me? What else does he do? And Rudy Gobert's response was just the laughing emoji. He didn't even have a response. He couldn't even say like, oh, I got a good post game. I got a little turnaround with a 2-step sidestep jumper. Like, I watched Joel Embiid at 7 feet move. He is ridiculous with the ball. I see Rudy Gobert with the ball, and I'm like, pass it now. Here's the problem. That's where they voted. He's overrated. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, and Rudy Gobert's comment, I guess, is he overrated? Like, is he 7'3"? Should be blocking shots and defensive player, or is what he is? He's 7'3", and these players are just being mean. I'll start with you, Reggie.
Yeah, I think it just kind of is what it is. Like, when you watch Rudy play, he's not the most like coordinated dude. He's just it's like he doesn't know what to do with himself. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. I was kind of skeptical of the trade when it first happened because I'm like, this is a dude that, now they got Mike Conley there, so it's helping him a little bit. But like, he's a dude that doesn't necessarily create his own offense. Like, he needs to get the ball in his spots. He's a dude that cleans up after misses and things like that. Like, but nobody is more overrated than Tristan Thompson. Like, they got that finals win, and then all of a sudden LeBron was just like, yeah, keep him around. He got the $66 million. I'm like, for what? What does he even do? The dude averages like 2.6 points a game or something like that and gets like 6 boards. I saw him doing TV this year on an NBA Today, and then all of a sudden when the playoffs started, he was wearing my Lakers gear. I'm like, what are you doing? What is he even there for? It's just like, because he's cool with LeBron. LeBron's like, yeah, let's give my boy a uniform, give him a playoff contract, just to sit on the bench for moral support because he is not doing anything to affect these games.
Expectations for him reached like another stratosphere. And even if he played like the defensive stud we were expecting, it still might not have been enough, because when you push every single chip you have into one guy, it almost gets to the point where it's like championship or bust, which was way unrealistic to begin with, at least in year one, in my opinion. And to watch him come in and just be, slightly above average, the way the whole thing started out so slow out the gate, the fact he's been banged up so much, and then the fact they had to go make another trade just to try to get their money's worth out of him with Conley, which obviously definitely worked out. But still, the whole thing has just been super frustrating, to say the least. And when you add in, again, the sky-high unrealistic expectations, it's just been a super questionable move that obviously it's going to be criticized for the rest of Conley's time here in Minnesota for years and years. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Sam, what you got?
Yeah, I think that it's all relative to his salary, right? Because if this was Walker Kessler doing the exact same stuff at a rookie salary, we'd be fine with it. But it's the salary that's so restrictive. So when you are watching this guy brick little bunny layups or not able to catch the ball under the basket, like remember that third quarter in game one where the Wolves, I think, were down 11 at halftime. You still thought maybe they were in the game. First 4 possessions of the second half, I think, went Rudy's way in some form or fashion, and he was fumbling the ball and he couldn't catch the post entry, and that game got out of control fast. And a lot of that was on him. He was kind of the source of their offense that was just stubbing its toe. It's maddening to watch when he's only good on one end of the floor. And the salary, you can't take that out of your mind. That's just such a big piece of this that's preventing them from signing other players, and it cost them so many draft picks, and that's just a gigantic negative in Gobert's favor. So I kind of think he is overrated, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm going to go with overrated. I think he is a little bit overrated. I think the defense is overrated, but I do agree with Sam on the salary. Like, I think it's restrictive. I also agree with Reggie on that's how he, like, when Reggie just did what he did, that's how I imagine Rudy Gobert doing everything. Like, I just want, like, when he gave everybody COVID, like, he did that to the microphone. He was like, oh, here's a microphone. Let me touch this. And then everybody gets COVID in Utah, and then the whole world shuts down. Like, Rudy Gobert shut the world down, if y'all don't remember. Like, the Utah Jazz stopped the world, and they had to give everybody COVID tests. And then the rest of the world was like, oh my God, we all need to get COVID tests. It started in Utah, and we bought him to Minnesota. Like, we bought ground zero monkey from Outbreak to Minnesota. Yes, he's overrated. He's very overrated. This is I'll say last one before we get out of here really quick, fellas. I just realized this for all you Minnesota people. 1, take your nap today. I cannot, because my daughter has a track meet today. I don't know if we're going to actually have it because it's freezing outside, but allegedly this middle school 6th to 8th graders are still going to go. And then she has volleyball. So I got to figure out how I'm going to get some sports in between all of this. Plus then tomorrow we got volleyball plus softball. So be a busy weekend for me. But really quick, I just realized this. The Twins play at 7:30. We'll see. And then the Wild and the Timberwolves both play at 8:30. So Minnesota fans will have a lot of TVs going. I know in my office, I got it set up where I can have my TV going and my laptop and my iPad with another one. In the living room, I can do the same thing. So I'm going to kind of have the Wild on just so I can see it, but I'm going to have the Timberwolves on the big screen because that's what I want to see. But for you guys, really quick before we get out of here, 10 seconds, which one are you going with the most, Twins, Timberwolves, or the Wild tonight? Go with you, Luke.
There's an art to this, Ron, and with the power of DVR, you shut that phone off, you put it on silent, no distractions, you pick your poison, either Wild or T-Wolves. Sorry, Twins, we got 150 other games, don't worry. But you pick one, you rip through it best you can, and then you flip over to that other one. Keep the phone off, though, no distractions.
That's
no
hard.
spoilers.
I can't leave the phone off.
It's tough, man.
What you got, Sam?
Tough.
What are you doing? I think you're going hockey, but what you got?
The phone is integral. The phone is the second screen. You got to have the right apps. You got to have the Xfinity Stream or the Bally Sports app. So I'll probably have Wolves main screen, a little easier to watch hockey passively on the side with the volume down. So I'll have the hockey on the phone, and then during halftime or intermission, flip flop, and hopefully they're not ending at the exact same time in a dramatic way, because that gets tough. But hopefully there's a little staggered in the finish.
What you got, Reggie?
Look, I work at a TV station. So
you got them all.
Put me up. Look, Wolves on one screen, Wild on the other screen. Turn the volume up on both. Let's do all the chaos. Let's do it.
Just bring the chaos, Avengers style. Tony Stark, I see you over there, Reggie. Yeah, I think I'm going Timberwolves, but I'm definitely going to have the Wild. And I can't turn my phone off, Luke, so I got to do it simultaneous because I got to tweet because I'm the
You
let's
have
go
to.
hockey guy. Like
Right,
I love my
right.
let's go hockey
that guy.
tweets because
Yeah.
people love it. Like I don't know why. It's so funny. I tweet something about hockey and people like love to tell me like either I'm right or like I'll be like, oh man, I can't believe they put him between the pipes tonight because I say it like I know what I'm talking about. People are like, yeah, man. I can't believe it. You right. Like, why would they put what like Gustafson has to be back there? Like, I just love that, you know. And I'd be like, oh man, he just went triple deke up top
In the crease.
in the crease. Look at him throwing himself in front of the net like that. Yeah, and then people love it. So I got to be able to tweet both, and I also got to tweet when Rudy Gobert does something stupid tonight. I got to tweet it. Like the minute
Gotta have one locked and loaded.
like the minute he tries a Euro step and then travels because he's awkward, like. He has
you
the
guys
worst
remember
Euro
his
step.
behind the back dribble in the Thunder game?
Oh,
Hey, it was kind of saucy in his
Kinda
own
athletic.
cozy little way. Yeah.
But Joker too. Joker tries to go behind the back, and it's so slow.
And he travels every time, and they're just
every
just
single
play
time
on,
he does the
play
walks.
Play on.
Like last night, what is it? I forgot, I can't say his name right, but
DiVincenzo.
White
DiVincenzo,
Dante,
for the Warriors, he put the ball in his left hand and then put it in his right hand and then dribble in the middle between. I'm like, and everybody's like, how is that not double dribble? Like these refs in the playoffs are just letting these players do whatever they want because they're like, oh wait, okay, never mind, that's a highlight. Let's go on the Sports Center. It's like, no, you're gonna go on the ref.com Sports Center because we're gonna talk about the fact that you guys are cheating. But hey, I'm Ron Johnson. That's Luke Inman. That's Sam Ekstrom. That's Reggie Wilson. We had a fun show today. And everybody, enjoy your night. I don't care what you pick. I know you hockey people. You're going to pick hockey, so don't get mad at us. I know you basketball people. You're going to pick basketball. The Twins, like there's some, like Brandon Warren, he's going to be watching Twins all night. He's not watching. He might like look at basketball and hockey, but he's watching the Twins. So whichever one you pick, enjoy it. Drink responsibly and have a good weekend.